Good evening and welcome to the Business Day. At least one major financial group is admitting today that there's been no real progress relating to corresponding banks and dealing with licensed medical ganja companies. TVJ's Andrew Laidley tells us more.
The Cannabis Licensing Authority has been around for 4 years. The agency was established to regulate Jamaica's legal ganja and hemp industry. So far, 35 licenses have been granted with an additional 600 applications being processed. But many licensees say being approved by the CLA is the easy part. They complain that opening a bank account for their business is the greatest challenge, arguing that local banks still refuse to do business with them. That's because correspondent banks overseas have tightened restrictions on their partners who deal in any kind of ganja business. Despite efforts by the government to remedy the situation, CEO of Sagicor Group, Christopher Zaka, says there's been little progress.
We can't detect any real progress. I mean, there is there is legislation in the US Congress that could possibly provide some movement in this towards a solution, but we Sagicor really can't speak about that, but we can't detect much progress.
Mr. Zaka passed on the blame to his overseas banking partners, claiming that his institution is eager to do business with medical ganja operators.
We are itching to partner with all legitimate businesses in Jamaica. A licensed cannabis business in Jamaica is legal. We're dying to get involved because we see it as a growth potential for us and for the country. Until the correspondent banking issues with the US banks are sorted out, we are precluded from doing so.
Meanwhile, CEO of Sagicor Bank, Shorvell Johnson, argued that Jamaican banks aren't the only ones cautious about engaging with medical ganja players, pointing out that there is still a long way to go where the stigmatization of ganja is concerned on the global financial scene.
There are cannabis dealers in the US who cannot bank at some of these banks overseas, whereas little Jamaica who depend on these correspondent banks. So at this point in time, until those things change, and until the whole global look, especially towards the US and to an extent Canada. I know you keep mentioning Canada, but it's not everywhere in Canada that you can go into a bank and with a cannabis company.
Andrew Laidley, TVJ News.
Grace Kennedy is reporting a dip in profits for the first half of the year. The company recorded a decline of 7% compared to the corresponding 6 months last year. Net profit after tax for the period was $2.27 billion. The company says its results were negatively impacted by the new accounting standard on leases called IFRS 16. Grace Kennedy says the new accounting standard resulted in an additional expense of $115 million, as well as post-employment benefit expenses increasing by $189 million. The company says during the first 6 months of 2019, the volatility in the Jamaican foreign exchange market, particularly in the US dollar exchange rate, also had a negative effect on the group's results when compared to the corresponding period of 2018. And that's the Business Day. I'm Herman Green. Stay with us. International stories are next.